Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Crypto Analyst channel. My name is Brendan, and I hope all of you guys are having a great day no matter where you are from. And the cryptocurrency market is currently de-pairing from the traditional stock market. Now, this isn't anything new for the crypto markets. They have done this a lot in the past, but for most of 2022 so far, the crypto markets have been very closely correlated to the stock market. And we'll talk about this over the course of this video, but I briefly want to talk about the state of the altcoin market, Bitcoin, and their correlation to stocks. Because this is the third green day in a row for NASDAQ, and the second day in a row that it has had multiple percent moves to the upside, with cryptocurrency still falling. In fact, the altcoin market yesterday alone almost hit yearly lows, and we're going to be highlighting this guy as well because this is going to be a talking point, and there's two main reasons for this. But finally, I want to talk about what's happening over here with Terra Luna, because they are moving to their new token, and that migration is actually starting either today or tomorrow. And so with this happening, I want to make a video kind of explaining how this is going to happen, who is going to qualify for this, and where to find information on this topic. Not because I'm a big Terra Luna guy, but as I'm sure most of you have someone who has been affected by this, if you were not affected by this personally. So I think it's an important topic to discuss. Now, first things first, let's talk about this descending triangle happening on Bitcoin, because I was just talking to the Crypt Nation team about this the other day and saying, hey, anyone else seeing this descending triangle forming on the Bitcoin daily chart? And you can even break this down on a 4-hour if you want to see just a little bit more information on it. Now, the thing that sparked this idea in my head, and the thing that really got me thinking here was, okay, well, first things first, we're seeing a falling level of resistance on Bitcoin with a very stable level of support since the recovery from the Luna crash. And this isn't a new support, because if we scroll out and over, we can see that we have seen this level a couple of different times. And I actually just talked about this in a previous video, but we bounced off of this area over here back in the beginning of January 2022, or 2021 rather, and then we bounced off this area again in June of 2021, and then again in July of 2021. So this is a very popular area that Bitcoin has bounced before, and we are still holding true to that support level today. The bad news is that unlike the previous times where we parabolically recovered down and then up in a V-shaped formation, this is the time where we are now seeing a consistent flat level of support with falling resistance. And this tends to make me believe that this is a bearish sign for Bitcoin. Now, on top of that, I want to just kind of look at what's happening over here with the 20-day moving average, and that is now meeting Bitcoin. And me and another one of my buddies over at Crypt Nation were just talking to the Crypt Nation VIPs yesterday about this very topic. So if you want early access to all the technical analysis that I do, check out the link in the description down below for Crypt Nation. But we were just mentioning this on our live stream yesterday, that this 20-day moving average on the daily time scale is just now meeting Bitcoin for the first time in a while, and that it will most likely be a rejection point. So if we now have a a rejection point and a very heavy form of resistance being this moving average on top of a descending triangle, it doesn't look like it is the best of scenarios for Bitcoin. Now again, everything's bearish until it's bullish, and everything's bullish until it's bearish, but I'm willing to argue that in this case, the trend is our friend, and ever since we fell below this, we have been testing this area as resistance like we did at the beginning of May 2022, and before that in April of 2022. So we know that this has been a popular area of resistance for Bitcoin in the past, and I think it's fair to say that it could very likely still be used as resistance until we break above this level and then retest it as support. But for the past couple of attempts, we have seen some rejections on the Bitcoin chart from this exact moving average. So when I'm looking at Bitcoin from a macro, I don't like the idea that it's moving down while the stock market's moving up, but this isn't a new idea at all, because we've seen that in these times of extreme volatility, NASDAQ will move upwards or NASDAQ will move downwards while crypto moves upwards. Right now, unfortunately, we're having the flip side of that situation where NASDAQ is moving upwards with stocks and Bitcoin is moving downwards. And this isn't something that typically lasts forever, maybe this is going to be the permanent decoupling that a lot of people have talked about. But the last thing that we need to speak about is the altcoin market falling very, very sharply. And the main reason for this happening is because people are scared. What happened with Terra Luna, I believe, was, and someone correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe it was the largest company or organization or project pretty much in history to go from a market cap of nearly $50 billion to zero. I don't even think that Enron was that big. And so this was one of, if not the largest single companies or projects to go from a $50 billion evaluation or a near $50 billion evaluation to $0 in like 2 weeks. And so because of this, this has got a lot of people scared in the altcoin market. People don't feel safe in altcoins. Some people don't even feel safe in stable coins. Some people don't even feel safe in Bitcoin right now. And so that's why we're seeing stocks move up, because there is good news coming out that's making the stock market and major indices move upwards, but people are still hurting and scared from what happened over here in the bear market from what happened with Terra Luna. Now, additionally, let's talk about this Terra Luna 2.0 reveal plan. So essentially what's happening over here is with the wildness, I think that's the only way to explain it, that happened to Terra Luna and UST, the Luna Foundation is going to be starting a new cryptocurrency, and they're going to be forking. And so the old Luna is going to be converted into Luna Classic, and the new Luna will simply just be referred to as Luna, and I believe they're going to have a new logo attached too, which is something I was just reading about. So the idea here is that they're going to entirely ditch UST, but they're going to compensate people for all of their UST and Luna Classic pre-attack versus post-attack, and that's how they're referring it to. They're not saying it's pre-depeg and post-depeg, they're saying it's pre-attack, because that's what they believe it to be, which could very likely be the case. But that is the way that they are referring to this. So if you are interested and you are a Luna holder, then this is something to look into. There's a nice little chart and diagram here, and I'll leave this up on the screen for a second so that everyone can, see how much they qualify for and do the math on their own part. But again, I really haven't been a guy that was ever big into Terra Luna. I held very, very small amounts, like probably less than 0.5% of my portfolio was ever in this. And so I'm not even sure if I actually qualify. I haven't even done the math, but I think I get a little bit. But regardless, if this does affect you, my sincere regards out to you. And while I am not really personally betting on something like this to recover to anywhere near where it used to be, there is the slight possibility. I just think that after something like that happens, your reputation is absolutely shot. And I don't even think Do Kwon has spoken in front of the South Korean parliament yet, which he is supposed to do here in the not so distant future. So as we're heading into the weekend, this is a really hard spot for altcoins and for Bitcoin. I see the idea floating around that we could be looking at a potential double bottom for something like Bitcoin or the altcoin market, and saying that maybe when we get down into this area, we're going to see a double bottom in the altcoins, and we're also going to see a double bottom in Bitcoin that is just a little bit lower, which really would cause a downwards breakdown from this descending triangle in order to get to the point of double bottoming. But we'll see. At the end of the day, I don't see crypto as being in the most bullish of places, and that's the hard truth. I want to be a bull, I want to be the perma bull, but right now we have moving average rejections down from a decoupling from the stock market. On top of that, we have a descending triangle, and in the short term, and I think that's the key word here, in the short term, I don't see this being a very, very bullish short term, and I think it's hard to make that point. The long term, however, is completely unaffected by this, in my opinion. If you are a long-term investor in cryptocurrency, I am looking at this area on the 1 week scale and going over to the RSI and saying this is the exact area where Bitcoin bottomed during the Corona crash of 2020. And just below this area is where Bitcoin bottomed on the RSI in 2018. So historically speaking, this has been one of the best buying opportunities on the RSI weekly in the history of Bitcoin whenever it gets down this low. And so I'm looking at this from a very long-term perspective and saying that this doesn't affect my thoughts on crypto in any way. The only thing that I'm seeing here that is bearish is in the very, very short term for Bitcoin, because nothing like this kind of downwards movement in this bear market lasts forever. And when this is over, a lot of the people that thought Bitcoin was going to $1,000 or Ethereum to $100 or anything like that, and they're waiting to time the bottom perfectly, those are going to be the people that get hurt when cryptos start ripping and when everything starts ripping again. But that's going to sound us up, or really round us up for this video. I hope you all did enjoy, and if you did, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help out the channel a lot. And share this with a friend or a family member that needs to hear a video like this in the time right now, whether you agree with them or agree with me or agree with neither of us. Be sure to drop a like and a share on this video. And until next time, I will see you all in the next video.